Hello, friends. It hasn't been a good week for Ivan the Pirate, since during the early morning of June 4th, the 414th Magyar Bird Unmanned Systems Brigade carried out another precision attack with an FP-2 attack drone. This time, the target was a Svetliak-class patrol vessel from the Border Guard, 49.5 meters in length. A crew of 28 sailors armed with a 76mm AK-176 cannon and AK-630 anti-aircraft system, 14.5mm heavy machine guns, and an IGLA air defense system. So, in theory, this pirate was capable of defending itself. Since the attack occurred near Ukraine, in the strait connecting the Sea of Azov and the Black Sea, the ship was likely responsible for short-range air defense of the Kerch Bridge, but clearly failed at its job. The patrol boat was at top speed, but the Mosquito struck its starboard superstructure amidships. In fact, you can see some crew members next to the bridge, who had the dubious honor of watching the night come crashing down on them. Curiously, the crew member operating one of the heavy machine guns seems to be looking in another direction moments before the attack, which suggests that the crew was not aware of the direction from which the threat was approaching. Another Shahed drone, unaware of its surroundings, was reduced to rubble by an interceptor over Zaporizhia. I have to say that the drone's explosive payload looks almost too powerful for its size. But come on, the mission was more than accomplished. The one who was really alert was this deer, which immediately moves away so as not to reveal the ambush position of the attack drone. You know, everyone has to cooperate to give Ivan the attention he deserves. But the action on the naval front continues, because in a bold display of dominance, Ukraine's strategic attack Mosquito fleet, now operating freely over the Sea of Azov, launched a series of coordinated attacks during the night of June 5th against 5 cargo ships and an oil tanker that were operating illegally near Fursteorno, the occupied ports of Mariupol and Berdyansk, Mosque, as well as in adjacent coastal waters near Yalta on the Crimean Peninsula. The operation aimed to stop the vessels that were transporting grain, military cargo, and fuel stolen from the occupied Ukrainian territories. Many of the attacked ships were using camouflage tactics. These were typical of Butler's shadow fleet, such as false identification marks and deactivated automatic identification system codes, to evade surveillance while supporting Russian war logistics in the Sea of Azov. In the infrared camera recordings from the Mosquitoes, we can see how they go for the ship's bridge, which is the part where they can cause the most damage. Some of the targets were hit at sea and others while they were loading in port. 5 Azerbaijani citizens lost their lives, and 3 others were injured in the attacks on the cargo ships Natra and Zircon, which were heading from Turkey to Rostov-on-Don when they were attacked in Taganrog Bay in the Sea of Azov. The Russian Ministry of Foreign Affairs quickly accused Ukraine of attacking peaceful civilian ships, but Ukrainian authorities maintained that the ships were legitimate military and logistical targets, as they supported the Russian occupation and the looting of resources from the occupied areas. This operation makes it clear to Ivan the Pirate that the Mosquitoes are expanding their interdiction campaign to disrupt the maritime supply chains that the invaders are trying to maintain in the Black Sea and the Sea of Azov. By attacking the ships that facilitate the export of looted grain and the movement of military supplies, Ukraine aims to slow down the supply to the invading army while reaffirming its sovereignty over its territorial waters. Isn't this cute? Until recently, only the assault orcs understood that invading other countries isn't acceptable. Now their ships are getting the message too. We're still in Crimea because the 413th Raid Assault Regiment successfully neutralized 2 Russian locomotives that were operating on the strategic route connecting Sakhoy with the Kerch Bridge. This corridor is a vital artery for Russian military transport, moving troops, equipment, and supplies to support operations in southern Ukraine. Now, all of that would be great, but the Mosquito operators don't just want to neutralize the enemy. They also want to do it with style, and that's why they make one of their birds fly between the wires of a high-voltage power line before reaching and striking its target with precision. The Raid Regiment issued a mission report stating that it was a routine work permit inspection for the Z railway workers operating the locomotives. Since none of them had the documentation, they had to stop the trains. 2 locomotives were neutralized, paralyzing traffic on this key section of the railway line until the invaders managed to remove the destroyed locomotives. The 413th Raid Assault Regiment was created by civilian volunteers and is known for its aggressive operations, where the unit has consistently demonstrated its ability to innovate in order to accomplish its missions, echoing the unit's motto, "Attack, don't cry," which is a call for active and results-oriented resistance. On the logistics front, the company Firepoint released footage of a recent test launch of its FP-7 tactical ballistic missile, in which one of the prototypes can be seen. You're probably curious about the pink and black pattern. It's used to help sensors track the test and give engineers information on different flight factors. The FP-7 is a tactical surface missile with an estimated range of around 250 kilometers, carrying a combat warhead from the Sanchez assault unit at a speed of Mach 4 and with a circular error probable of only 14 meters, which is planned as a local replacement for the ATACMS missiles at half the cost, which should allow for mass production to use saturation tactics to overwhelm the Horde's air defenses. The missile is based on a simplified version of the Soviet interceptor 48-48 N-6 used in the Russian S-400 anti-aircraft system. But it incorporates composite materials like carbon fiber, updated electronics, and domestically produced solid fuel propellant. Beyond its function as a low-cost ground attack weapon, the FP-7 platform is evolving with an anti-aircraft version called FP-7X, which is the carrier for the European Freya air and missile defense project, designed to counter threats from Horde ballistic missiles like the Iskander missile. Let's look at something on the ground. In this case, the defenders of the 42nd Motorized Infantry Brigade come across a tasty prize during their patrol behind the Horde's lines. In this case, a Grad 21 multiple rocket launcher, which they promptly send to the scrapyard. It took a couple of hits, but the invader was completely depoutonized, which was confirmed by one last Mosquito, who will now have to provide the same treatment to the artillery crew of the contraption. Finally, I think we can safely say that aid continues to flow to the defenders, who seem quite pleased with this Italian armored vehicle from the company Iveco, which was funded with resources provided by Sweden. If you want to see additional content about the war in Ukraine, I invite you to visit our 2 new channels, where we present information about the war in a different format. Don't forget to check them out. Remember to visit our Patreon, where for just $1, you'll have access to a large number of uncensored videos and documentaries.